Jai Guru, everyone. Bhakti is that magnetic pull which exists in every soul's heart, Guruji says. We need not do anything. We just have to remove the dirt that is accumulated. The vrittis, what is the dirt? The excessive thought processes, the excessive experiences, pleasure-seeking mentality, and the indulgences of this world is the dirt that covers this magnetic tendency in the heart. And that tendency, as natural as gravitation, as natural as magnetism, awakens. And that is called bhakti. And that is what pulls the soul towards Brahma. And second set of chapters describe bhakti. Now, this third set of chapters starts from the 13th chapter. This talks about Lord's creation. Typically, this is described in the Vedas. In Upanishads is Vedanta, but this is the, by and large, the stuff in the Vedas. What is this world? Because even the Western world, Western science, everyone is perplexed as to what is this. So everyone who awakens to a little beyond roti kapda makan starts asking questions. Wait, my stomach is full, I'm relaxed. But why am I here? Who am I? What am I doing? So then we get answers. We start getting our own answers. Many of us start this process very early. Many of us may not start it in one life. They may start in another life. However, so that's what leads to Tattva Jnana. Tattva Jnana is the essence of this universe, essence of this creation, trying to understand. So thousands of scriptures are written on this since ancient times, because we are not the forerunners of human race. There have been millions of other races who have come and gone. So this has been described in all these books. Bhagavan Krishna gives a sum of the entire thing, kind of a pressy writing, a short form to Arjuna. How fortunate for us, we came after Lord Krishna. Before Lord Krishna, they had to study the whole thing. So, so the entire gist of this chapter is something like this. You are, say, a kshetrajna and a kshetra. The description is something like kshetra means a field, and kshetrajna is the owner. Suppose you own a field. Yes, you have a field, and you go to the field every day because it's your field. That is where you do your karma, everyday activity. So as a farmer, you're going to sow the seeds, you're going to till the soil, make it soft, wait for the rains, or get a canal water into it. You're going to wait for the place to get very soft so that you can put something like rice and wheat. You're going to sow it there. And then you're going to replant these small saplings very neatly so that they can grow, right? So every day you work like that. At the end, you reap something. So this is how the Kshetrajna drama plays out. The soul is the Kshetrajna, or Brahma macrocosmically is the Kshetrajna, and he creates this universe for his pleasure so that he can do his sowing activities. He can create numerous things. So now if you observe both very carefully, the field is also alive in its own way. There is some basic intelligence. So Prakriti is also alive in some fundamental way. She is called Mahatattva because she's Tattva. She's got some kind of fundamental life in it. May not be the kind of life and consciousness that is possessed by the Kshetrajna, who is completely ruling over the Prakriti. So this is the Kshetra and Kshetrajna story. So let us look at this, how it goes. Now, why is Arjuna getting this knowledge of Kshetrajna? We understood. All knowledge is revealed in wisdom, in intuitive learning to that bhakta. So jnana and bhakti go hand in hand. So initially we are materialists, or you are working to learn, earn, live our life. The first 6 chapters. So that's the rule book, do's and don'ts. Karma sannyasa. We evolve into awakening bhakti through that. After awakening, the new knowledge and the new wisdom dawns upon us. So that is why from the 13th to the 18th, the Lord gives his secrets to Arjuna, the fundamental secrets. So let us start. Arjuna asks the first question. This question sometimes is not included in some of the Gitas, some Gitas included. They say it is a later edition. We don't know, doesn't matter, we'll learn the question. Arjuna Uvacha, Arjuna asks, Prakritim Purusham Chaiva Kshetram Kshetrajñamev cha Etat Veditum Ichchami Jnanam Jneyam cha Keshava. Arjuna's question, Arjuna asks, what is this Prakriti? Prakriti and Purusha. Cha and Eva, definitely or indeed. Kshetram, Kshetrajñam. Cha Eva, even these. Kshetra and Kshetrajna and Prakriti and Purusha. Cha Etat, these two distinction, Veditum, I would like to know, Ichchami, Ichcha hai mujhme. Jnanam Jneyam Sakeshava. What is knowledge? What is knowledge itself? And what is the goal of all knowledge? So we are studying, we're going to school, right? Every day we go to school, we grow up. So we wonder, why are we going to school? So there's a goal for going to that school. Like that, anything that we learn, experience, and enjoy is going to give us some knowledge in this world. What is the goal of it? That is Jnaya. Jnayam cha Kesha. I like to know. So there are 6 questions he asks here. So if you pay attention, Prakriti and Purusha, what's the distinction? Then he says Kshetra and Kshetrajna. What's the distinction? Then what are they? And then he says, what is Jnana and what is Jnaya? What is knowledge and what is the goal of knowledge? So essentially, you'll see basically all these 6 topics are covered in this chapter. And so, what are the 6 topics that Lord is going to discuss with us now? What is Prakriti? What is Purusha? What is Kshetra? What is Kshetrajna? What is Jnana? And what is Jnaya? Jnana is knowledge. Jnaya is the goal of all this knowledge. Why all this drama is happening. Bhagwan says in response, Shri Bhagavan Vacha Idam Shariram Kaunteya Kshetramithyavidhiyate Etatyo Vettitam Prahuhu Kshetrajna iti Tadvidaha. So now Lord responds. Lord says, Idam Shariram, this body, Kaunteya, O Arjuna, Kshetram iti abhidhiyate. So it is termed as, or it is called as Kshetra. We already understood what is Kshetra. Kshetra is a place where you're going to go to sow things. Like for those of you joined just now, I'm just reiterating what we did in the last 10 minutes. Kshetra and Kshetrajna. Kshetra is the field and Kshetrajna. Jna means it's related to knowledge, right? Knower. The knower of the field. Field is like a paddy field and the knower is like the farmer. Okay. So Lord says, so this body is like the field. And Etad yaha vetitam prahuhu. Remember, who is called the person who knows this field. Veti is coming from the word with, to know. Who knows this field is called Kshetrajna. One who knows the field, the owner of the field. Iti tat vidaha. He thus has been mentioned by the Vidahas. Vidahas again coming from the word Veti, Ved, the root. One who know. So the people have said, so it has been said. He only says it in since different times, Bhagavan Krishna is only revealed. Brahma only is revealed. Right. So what does this bring out very clearly? The body is something separate from the soul. And the soul belongs to a separate dunya, world, and the body belongs to a separate world in God's creation. In the Prakriti is where the body is born, and that is where it belongs to, and that is where it will die. And the soul is born in beyond Prakriti, in the Kutastha, the unmovable, indefinable, indescribable, or Tat Purusha. That is where the soul is born, and that is its home. So these are two different beings coming together for some time to make this happen. So this process of drama is happening not only in our bodies, but externally in this universe also. So there is a consciousness which is upholding this universe, and there is this universe. They're so well enmeshed that it looks they are one and the same. Just like the man thinks that he is the body, but it is definitely he is not the body. If he was the body, when the body is left back, first of all, he will not leave back the body. Number two, what's the point of coming here, of not taking the body if the body belongs to you, right? So when the soul leaves, it does not carry the body, it leaves it. So it becomes one with the Panchabhutas, the Prakriti. The soul goes away and the soul continues to live. So we all will continue to live. We can eat, drink, smoke, sing, dance, whatever you want to do, you can do even after your death. So Paramahansa Yogananda puts it very beautifully. He says, dying is such a beautiful process, and no dead man ever revisits. Why? Because he is so free. He's so free, eternally free, and he is happy in his own. He's more comfortable in his own rupam. He's in his own form of energy and light. Let's go further. What does Lord say? Then Lord says, Kshetrajnam chapi mam vidhi sarvakshetreshu bharata kshetrajnayor jnanam yatta jnanam matam mama. So Lord says, remember Kshetrajnam. I am also a Kshetrajna, meaning owner of a specific field. Cha api mam. I am also a knower of what? Vidhi. Know this. What? Sarva kshetreshu bharata. Oh Bharata, I am the owner of all the kshetras, meaning entire creation belongs to Brahma. That is me. Who is Lord Krishna here? He says, Sarva kshetreshu bharata. Then he says, Kshetra kshetrajnayo jnanam. This knowledge of knowing the distinction between the owner and the field, Prakriti and Purusha. This yat tat jnanam, this kind of knowledge, matam mamaha. This is the true knowledge of everything. What does it mean? It means that a person who knows fundamentally, intuitively what is happening in this Prakriti and Purusha knows everything. Knows everything. That's why Lord Krishna says in the second chapter, remember we did that? You don't have to read and seek things. You have to go within and you have to learn it. You have to remove the external thought process that you have. Inside, you already have the fountain of knowledge. You just have to touch it and everything will be yours. Mathematics, science, chemistry, physics. These are all tip of the icebergs. There are much greater things, Lord says, right? So you will do everything. So we discussed that. Nowadays, they keep saying, in YouTube shorts and all, Hindu sages knew this, the ancient rishis knew this, they knew how the fetus looks, they made on temple walls fetus pictures, they knew how aeroplanes fly, they knew about nuclear technology, they knew about the atom, they knew everything that's known in physics and beyond physics also. They knew everything about creation, they knew what's there in the sun, moon, they knew layers of the creation, they knew. How did they know all this? simply by Lord, what Lord says. So the Lord says in the second chapter, Sarva Brahmanasya Vijanata. So a person who is a Brahman, who knows Brahma, is a Brahman. He knows everything. Once you have touched the source, you know everything. How beautiful. Easy, right? It's like the internet. Internet also you have to read, but this just appears in your head. Somebody asked Paramahansa Yogananda once when he was be interviewed in America, how many books do you read? The amount of knowledge that you have, you know everything. Any question Guruji could respond, physics, chemistry, maths. So he said, how is it that you being a philosopher know so much? You might be reading 20 books in a month since you were born. He says, I have hardly read 20 books in my entire life. He didn't even study his textbooks. We all know the story very well in Autobiography of a Yogi, right? So he touched Brahma, and that is how the ancient Sanatana Dharma Gurukul was built. They taught children to meditate very young, and the kids knew it. That is how, even if the Rishi or the Guru would know as soon as the child came into the ashram that this child is going to be an architect. This child is going to be a soldier. This child is going to be a jnani. This child is going to be a scientist, or a vaidya, or a shilpi. Shilpi was very important that time, making temples. So what he did, because he knew through Trikaldarshi, he was. So he honed that child taught him to meditate in such a manner that the child could touch Brahma in that art, and he would practice it externally. So by touching Brahma in that art, so if he is a Shilpakar who would make the temple, he would meditate, and from that wellspring of wisdom from Brahma about, architecture, he would get all his knowledge. And that's how they made these massive temples, and they could cut through stones and things like that, right? So that's how it was. So whether it is science, whether it is medicine, everything, they got it from within, and then they practiced outside. So that is perhaps also going to be the way future of this earth is going to be running. So because we're going into higher yugas. Yeah. So coming back, that Lord has explained Prakriti Purusha. Chapter is pretty simple, so nothing to worry. Lord says, Tat-kshetram yacca yadrikcha yadvikari yatascha yata sachayo yat-prabhavascha tat-samasena me shrunu rishibhir-bahudha gitam chandobhir-vividhai pratak brahmasutrapadaiश्चैव hetumadbhir-vinishchitaihi. Lord then says, Tat Kshetram, about this field of activities, this field in which you're sowing and reaping, Kshetra. Yat cha yadrik. Yadrik is its nature, what it is made of fundamentally. Cha yat vikari. Vikari is what is grown out of it. What are its changes? What happens to it? So fundamental essence of that Kshetra, as well as what is its vikaras, how it changes. Yata. Cha yat sacha ya yat prabhavascha. From this field, what else happens? It causes what else? For example, if you take a field, it is a field normally, it's plain field. Then its vikara becomes, when you're going to till it and you're going to make it soft in soil, it becomes a vikara, or it becomes a dry field. Different types of field it is. Then because of that, you will sow and reap rice, right? So that is at yat prabhavascha, is its prabhava, its power of that field. Cha. Tat samasena me shrunu. Samasa is shortened form, I will tell you. So what is our field? This body is our field. So Bhagavan Krishna is saying, understand the essence of this body, what it is made of, and then what all this body is capable of, how it changes. Especially the four fundamental things like mana, buddhi, aham, chitta, it keeps changing, right? Man is never having the same mana, same buddhi, same aham, same chitta. It constantly changes according to the nature outside, nature within, reaction with the sattva, rajas, tamas gunas. We know that. So man is always, so Paramahansa Yogananda says that man is always Man's nature is always changing until anchored in the divine. In the divine, he becomes unchanging. Unchanging is kutastha, that which never changes. When the mind gets anchored there, then it doesn't change. So, what is its prabhava? What is this body capable of achieving? Is it an athlete? Is it going to be a cook? Is it going to be a scientist? Is it going to be a coder, software engineer? What is it going to be? Prabhavas. I will tell you all these things. So you see how we can analyze our body also and why it's come. Then Lord says, and this is also macrocosmically this creation. Then Lord says, Rishibir Bahuda Gitam. Many rishis in various ways, Bahuda, Bahut Prakar mein, Gitam, they have sang about this because most of the Vedas and all that are written in a song form, which you can chant. So easy to remember. Gitam, Chandobir Vividai Pratak. Chandas is the Shruti in which it is sang, right? So it is a kind of a form in which it sang. So that's basically the hymns, Vedic hymns. Vividai, various Pratak, different forms. Brahma Sutra, Padaihi. Brahma Sutras. And Brahma Sutras is also very interesting, sutras. Sutras are very small, terse, sentences which don't have grammar in it. So there'll be just 3-4 words in one sutra. So in understanding a sutra, it can be interpreted in multiple ways. So, and in ancient times, these rishis were very minimalist. They hardly spoke, right? They're not interested to speak. Once you've understood the meaning of everything, there's no give and take. He's an Atma Rama. He's enjoying himself in his Atma, in that Sukham Atyantika Yadak. Sukham Atyantikam Yatad. So when his sukha is extreme within, there is no interest in the world outside. Khana, pina, sona and all, he doesn't want also. He's beyond all that, right? So they would make sutras. They want to tell the world something because that was their yat prabhava. They had come here for a prabhava. They had to do something. So that's why they appeared. Patanjali appeared for a reason. Badarayana appeared for a reason. Badarayana is the name of Vedavyas only. He's called Badarayana because he wrote the Brahma Sutras near Badrinath under his guru, Badrinarayan. So he's called Badarayana. So he, under his inspiration. So Brahma Sutras are an analysis of Brahma. Those are also sutras. So that's Brahma Sutra. Padaihi, these padas, cha eva hetu madbhir vinishchitaihi. So this with different types of hetus. Hetu means cause. So what is the cause behind all this? What does it cause in turn? You can use the word cause in different ways, right? So the meanings of these sutras and this creation conclusively have been deduced by many sutras in many of the chandas and many Gitas. That's what Lord is. The different types of Ashtavakra Gita, there are Darshana Shastras, there are, Karikas, there are Mimamsas, there are hundreds of them, right? The Puranas and everything. So, do you want to know about what is the classification of Hindu Shastras in brief? Anybody wants to know?
Yes, Didi.
Yeah. Okay. In that case, it's very simple to understand. So, all that when Lord says Gita, and then when he says Brahma Sutra, and when he says Chandas, that means he's included everything, etc. So basically, they say that we have fundamentally one Veda. It is called the Veda. Then the Badrayana, Rishi Vedavyasa, who is Brahma's Amsha itself, Bhagwan Vishnu's Amsha, he an avatar from the Tapoloka. He came down to classify it into 4 parts because humanity's capability was going to go down in the Kali Yuga. So he knew to come back to that highest level, it's going to take some time. So he broke the Vedas into 4 parts. He made it into Rigveda, Yajurveda, Samaveda, and Atharva Veda. We know what is the content. Rigveda describes all the mysteries of this creation. It includes a lot of chants, hymns, and prayers, and many things. You can go to any of the bookstores, like lifestyle bookstores are there, no? Those crosswords and all. You'll see Rigveda and all English It's about 1.5 feet by, the height is about 1 feet by itself. Hundreds and millions of shlokas in it. So Rigveda. Now, what is extant? What is existing? So Rigveda, Yajurveda. Yajurveda talks about yajnas. What is this greatness about yajnas? Many people may try to ask, what is yajna? Is very simple. Yajna is certain kind of scientific way in which you utilize the Pancha Mahabhutas to manifest whatever your wish or desire is. And it is instant. That is why Lord Krishna says, when the creation happened, Brahma himself says, from yajna, you can get whatever you want. So when it is done exactly according to that specific bhava, it instantly yields the result. So the fundamental form of yajna was using the fire, water, air, and then the ether, and of course the stuff, like what is grown. So that is earth, like fruits. So this yajna, how it has to be conducted, multiple types of, thousands of types of yajnas have been described. If you want to get a child, if you want to get married, if you want to win the war, if you want to find Brahma, you want moksha, you want to move beyond the yamalok, you want to travel astrally, you want to attain teleportation, all these, there are yajnas through which you can get it. So this has been described, including the size of the, the kunda, how the mandap has to be made, how many chanters should be there, what should be the level of purity. For example, they say that for 12 years, the person who practices yajna should be celibate. So even if he's married, he should be celibate. The person who chants. So like that, if 400 people chant together, so it had tremendous injunctions. And how to chant. The chant should be perfect, and how all this is in the Yajurveda. Then Samaveda. Samaveda, nowadays people are doing yajnas, also healing yajnas. If you got some disease, you do certain yajna, it will get cured, instant cure. So apparently, that yajna pulls into the Homa Kunda the power of that Deva, wherever he's sitting, maybe a billion kilometers away in space, but his power instantly flows through that yajna and it comes to the person who's doing that yajna. So like that you get healed. Even animals and you've seen the black suit that comes out from the yajna can heal plants and animals, when especially in Ganapati Homam and all, that black suit that comes, that's given as tilak. That when it is now today, scientists have seen that when that is applied on plants which are dying, it heals. Trees which are withering, when you apply it around it, they heal. This is truth. And so they are now in some of the Vedic countries who are following yajna and all, ancient Mimamsa part. They are in the fields, they are applying this, mixing it with manure, not in huge quantities, even a little. So the fasal becomes very this. That's this is Yajurveda. This for humans, how to live and to help humans live. Then you have Sama. Samaveda is praising, it's bhakti. It's for the highest Brahma. So you sing and you sing and you pray. It's like so many hymns are there, even the Bible and Old Testament, like that. Hymns for the Lord Sama. And then you have, that is why Sama Gayana, they say. Even Bhagwan Vishnu likes it. It's supposed to be very beautiful to hear, to listen, and it also is very soothing. Then you have the Atharva Veda. Atharva Veda describes many magical things, including Aushadis. So anything that can happen, which looks like a miracle, is part of. So yeah, even Ayurveda is part of Atharva Veda. So these four Vedas, and this is fundamentally the entire body of knowledge. Now, what the rishis and all have done is they have taken parts of the Veda and they have meditated on it and written massive amounts, tomes about it, books and books and books. Because when you take, maybe put 12 shlokas and you meditate on it, you will get your own learning. Right? So those became the Darshana Shastras. Darshana Shastras are what I saw. Darshana is to see. So what I saw. So these different types of rishis saw some things. So those Darshana Shastras typically got classified into 6 parts, which becomes Hinduism, present day Hinduism. You have Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Yoga, and you have Sankhya and Yoga, and you have pure Veda itself, which is Purva Veda and the Paschima Veda, or it is called Purva Mimamsa and Uttara Mimamsa. Mimamsa means activity, to do some activity. Purva means first part, and Uttara means last part. So this is how the 6 Darshana Shastras came about. We'll not go into these Darshana Shastras detail. You can get it online. Now, from the Vedas only. Now, another set of the rishis, what they did, they classified the Veda itself into 4 parts, fundamental Vedas, each Veda into four parts. What were those? The first part was called the Brahmanas. What the Brahmins or the priestly class will conduct pujas, and what are their, injunctions, how they have to live in. Then you have then another part was, then you had the Aranyakas. Aranyakas were that which you will study when you go to the Aranya. Aranya means forest. When you go to forest. So the Aranyakas, they have many things, miraculous. Tantra and all, for example, mantra, tantra and all are part of Aranyakas. Yoga also becomes part of Aranyaka. Then you have the Upanishad. The last part, understanding about Brahma. You finished all your Grihastha life. That's called the Upanishad. And somewhere in between, one more part is Samhita. Samhita is basically hymns and prayers to different beings and explanations about everything in this creation. So that's Samhita. So the same Veda was classified differently, understood, meditated differently, and 6 tomes came. That becomes the Darshana Shastra. And there's so many books and things written about it. And then the fundamental Veda itself was classified into 4. So you have Brahmanas, Samhitas, Aranyakas, and Upanishads. So this is what makes Hinduism. Now, besides this, there is a history of the kings who ruled the country, the great kings who followed the Vedas, and what did they achieve, the different avatars which happened on earth as well as in other worlds. The rishis would meditate, they could see this. So those were written as the Puranas. What happens in different universes, different worlds, according to what the rishi saw, he wrote. And this was again collected from here and there, and Vyasa gave 18 Mahapuranas. That's why you have Devi Purana, you have Garuda Purana, you have Bhagavata Purana, you have different types of Puranas, Skanda Purana. So they have multiple Puranas. So this is fundamentally what makes about this Hinduism. So understanding this requires a million years. Seriously, it's impossible to take the entire Veda and read the whole thing. Mostly how you come to know is you get a little bit, written by great souls like, Vivekananda, or you have the Adi Shankaras, they write about the Vedas. This is how you learn. Otherwise, you become a Trikaldarshi. You meditate, you attain oneness with Brahma, you understand the Veda. This is how it happens. So now we go back to, now Brahma explains what is written in the Veda now. So that is Lord Krishna. He says, Mahabhutanyahangkaro buddhiravyaktamev cha indriyani dashaikam cha panchachendriyagochara. Then he says, Ichha dvesha sukham dukkam sangatschetanatritihi etat kshetram samasena savikaramudahritam. Lord now explains what is Kshetra. Kshetra and its vikaras, its modifications. Vikara means what? Its changes that it has come across. The Kshetra. So it says Mahabhuta. Mahabhutas are there. Pancha Mahabhuta, we know what it is. We have earth, water, fire, air, and ether. 5 great elements. Ahankara, ego. Buddhi is the buddhi. Then Avyaktam. Avyaktam is essentially, you can equate it to Chitta. Chitta is that which is not really completely Vyakta, it's something that is hidden. Avyakta. So you have Mana, Buddhi, Aham, Chitta. So then Lord is not talking about Manas. Why? Because he says Eva, Cha, and Indriyani. 5 senses we have. Seeing, touching, feeling, all that, right? Skin, eyes, hearing, and all. So these are the Indriyas. Dashaikam Cha. Dasha Ekam, he says. That includes the Manas. So Manas is the coordinator, and you have 10 sensory organs and 10 organs of action. So we know all that. Most of us know. So we have, about it. We don't have to go into depth of it. Organs of action is pada, which moves, hand, which grasps, and then excretion, those organs, and then reproduction organs. So these are all the and the mouth, which is for eating food and taking it in. This is the 5 organs of action. And for indriyas, eyes to see, ears to hear, skin to touch and feel, tongue to taste. So did we get 4 or did we get 5? Which is the fifth one? Eyes, ears, nose to smell, of course. Okay. Cha pancha cha indriya agochara. So these are the senses along with the mind. So you got the 24 tattvas there. That is Prakriti. Then Lord says there is more to this in the Kshetra. What is the Vikara of this Kshetra? So fundamentally Kshetra is made of 24 tattvas. Sankhya, you know it, right? So you have the 24 tattvas are the 5 Jnanendriyas, 5 Karmendriyas, then the Manas, Buddhi, Aham and Chitta. Then you have the Pancha Pranas. Pancha Prana is stemming from the Chitta itself. So we have the Prana, Vyana, Apana, Udana and Samana. So that makes 15 plus 9, 19. Plus another 6, which is Manas, Buddhi, Aham, Chitta. So this is the tattvas and the Mahabhuta, Mahatattva fundamental. So all this is the fundamental creation in Prakriti. So for this, you can just Google and you'll find it online. A chart, somebody can say 24 tattvas, you can see it online. So this is the fundamental form of Prakriti. Then he says in the seventh one, Ichha Dvesha Sukham Dukkha Sangash Chetana Dhritihi Etat Kshetram Samasena Savikaram Udahrata. So Lord says the vikaras of these 24 tattvas create desire, icha, dvesha, aversion, sukham, happiness, dukkham, misery, sanga. Together, they are called consciousness. That is how AI, when it has so much knowledge, is acting conscious already. It's an artificial consciousness it has. So Lord does not say consciousness is essentially related to the soul. So get it straight. Consciousness is also there in Prakriti. Even the fundamental stone is conscious. Although science says it's not. So Lord here is said, Sangha Chetana Dhritihi. All this creates something together is called consciousness, desire, aversion, sukha, dukkha. It is caused by the mixing of the 24 tattvas of the Prakriti. Then Lord says, Dhritihi. Dhriti is willpower. Etat kshetram. These are all in Prakriti, he says. Samasena. In short, this is what is it? Prakriti. Savikaram udaharat. Vikaras are these. Icha, dvesha, sukham, whatever it creates, in the mind, the thought process, the vrittis, kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, vatsara, everything you can, shukha, and all those pashas, koshas, everything you can add. There are hundreds. If you go, there is no Ashtapasha is not there. You have 24 pashas, 30 pashas are also there. So you can go on adding to it. Famous pashas are this, like Arishad Varga, no? Like that, they're famous. There's other Aris are also there. Ari means enemies. So these are all the Vikaras, Lord is saying. Fundamentally, the Kshetra is Mahabhutya, Nahankara, Buddhira, Vyaktamevacha, Indriyani, the Shekam, Cha, Panchachindriya, Kocha. So this you understand. Okay, let me try and show you the 24 tattvas of Prakriti. We have seen this very often. So you can see this. Prakriti, if you read, there are 25, sometimes 25, because they have included Purusha and Prakriti as well. Mahat is there, Ahankara, Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. You have Manas. You have the 5 Indriyas of cognition, 5 Indriyas of action. Then you have the Tanmatra, Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha. Some people take this, or some people also take the Pancha Pranas. Like yoga uses Pancha Pranas, because Prana, Vyana, Panudana, Samana. And Sankhya talks about Tanmatras, which gives rise to the Bhutas, earth, water, fire, air, and ether. So all this together, the list changes here and there once in a while, according to the Darshana Shastra you follow. Like yoga will talk about the Panchapranas, and Nyaya will give you a totally different list, but they generally stick to the same list. So like that. Vaisheshika will also give you a more extended, deeper analysis of this list. So this is in brief, the Lord says, and these are the vikaras. Further, Lord says, now Arjuna's question is answered now. He understood what is kshetra, and now Lord is going to talk about what is kshetrajna. He says, Amanitvam madambitvam ahimsa kshantirarchavam acharyopasanam shaucham stairyamaatma vinigraha indriyarteshu vairagyam anahankara evacha janma mrityujara vyadhi dukkha doshanudarshanam asakterana bishwangaha पुत्रदारगृहादिषु नित्यं च समचित्तत्वम् इष्टानिष्टोपपत्तिषु मयि चानन्ययोगेन भक्तिरव्यभिचारिणी विविक्तदेशसेवित्वम् अरतिर्जनसंसदि अध्यात्मज्ञाननित्यत्वम् तत्त्वज्ञानार्थदर्शनम् एतत् ज्ञानमिति प्रोक्तम् Ajnanam yatatonyata. Lord is talking about what is true knowledge. So this is the third part of Arjuna's question. So that is over. So kshetrajna and the Brahma and the Prakriti is also over. So now is and then jnana and jnaya. So what is true knowledge? Lord is explaining. Very simple words here. Amanitvam. That capability to be humble in under any circumstance. Adambitvam. And dambitvam is not having damba. Damba is some kind of vainglorious pride. Ahimsa, having compassion for every being. Shanti is forgiving everything. Arjavam, straightforward. Acharya upasanam, having that service bhava to the guru, to the teachers. Acharya upasanam. Shaucham, clean in the body and mind. Stairyam, steadfast in whatever activity is taken to complete it, steadfastness. Atma vinigraha, self control. Indriyarteshu vairagyam, not excessively possessive of the desire fulfillment. Khana pina sona, jo mil jaye theek hai, like that. You know, not overly fastidious. I have to eat only this. I have to dress only like this, then only I look good. All that. So that is indriyarteshu vairagyam, dispassion towards. That also can become a stumbling block in moksha. Guruji says, right? Anahankara evacha, not having ahankar. Janma mrityu jara vyadi dukkha dosha anudarshanam. Janma, birth, mrityu, death, jara, old age, vyadi, disease, dukkha, sadness, dosha, faults happen. Anudarshanam, being aware of it. So we should not act like a bin machli ki pani when all these things come. What Krishna is saying, you should have equanimity because these things are definitely going to come to every person in creation. What all? Janma, mrityu, old age, vyadi, disease, dukkha, sadness, dosha, faults, mistakes everyone makes. Unless when we are anchored in Brahma. Anudarshanam. So just observe it, be an observer. Asakter anabhishwangaha. Detachment. Detachment from everything of this world. Anabhishwangaha. So not having over craving, over feeling of this is mine, mamakara like that, anabhishwangaha. So to mamakara for what? Putra dara grihadishu. Children, their spouse and graha, home. कुछ नहीं है ना. This is all beginning belonging to earth. Prakriti is earth. Everything belongs here. Tomorrow there's an earthquake, everything is over. We are also under the earth only. So we know that nothing is permanent. Tsunami comes in a second, everything is gone, right? But so that is why if we are totally detached. But if we attach, what happens is soul goes away thinking it lost something. So it will get pulled back here. So that is why this is grihadishu. Then Lord says nityam cha samachittatvam, trying to be equanimous in all conditions. Ishta anishta upapattishu, good things, bad things, upapat, it comes on to you anytime, right? So just be calm. Maicha ananya yogena. You know that you are part of Brahma, that's home. So towards me, having ananya yoga, exclusively wanting to unite with Brahma. Bhakti avyabhicharini, without wavering. Avyabhicharini, without moving, not changing. That kind of bhakti you need to have for Brahma. Vivikta desha sevitvam. So, this is a very high state where you will look for solitary places. Vivikta desha sevitvam. Trying to live away from materialistic minded people. Aratir jana samsadi. Aratir is, artharti, kind of people. So, jana samsadi. The social obligations can become overbearing. Every day you may have a party. Every day you may want to go into this world. So that can cause the soul to get lost. That's what Lord saying. Always seek some solitude. That's why all the gurus say. Once in a while, get away from everything, family, society. Get used to being alone. Because what does Kaivalya mean? Brahma is alone. And actually, that is your Sukha Madhyantika Vyatad. When you start getting that joy, there is nothing in comparison to that joy. And so Swami Vivekananda says, if you've never got away from people, if you've constantly been talking and talking, and now the phone is a big thing, we want to talk, we want to keep in touch. You want to use the phone and abuse the phone. Why? It seems when Graham Bell invented the phone, he said, let it be used only when there is an emergency. Now we don't use it as emergency. We just want to talk. We're keeping in touch. Krishna says, don't keep in touch. Vivekta Desha Sevitam. We're going to go. Get used to being alone. Vivekta Desha Sevitam Aratir Jana Samsudai. That is why Gita will shake us from our fundamental roots, principles. Be a social animal. That's what the Western world says, right? Descartes says that I think, therefore I am. Sorry. You are because you are. Your thought is your vritti. You have to remove that thought. That's what Hinduism says. So that is what Sanatana says. So when we trained Western, we want to be a social animal. We are not an animal, Paramahansa Yogananda says, first of all. We are an evolved creature who's capable of attaining Brahma. So get it straight, we're not an animal and neither are we social. We are in the state of Kaivalya permanently. Yeah. So, but having said that, we can't take it unless the mind has evolved to a certain level. To get into these Vivikta Desha Sevitvam, one has to be having Amanitvam, Madambitvam, Ahimsa, Kshanti Rajavam, Acharya Upasanam, Shaucham, Sairyam, Atma Vinigra. All those qualities should be there to a certain extent already well developed. So don't take it literally right now and say, okay, now I'm going to lock myself somewhere in a forest. Not going to happen. So Lord then says, Aratir Chanasam Sadaihi. Then Adhyatma Jnana Nityatvam, constantly focusing on attaining this Adhyatma Nityatvam, Tattva Jnana Artha Darshanam. Understanding the spiritual principles whenever it's possible. The soul is interested in only that. It's not interested in anything that we earn here. The thousands of rupees, lakhs and crores, the massive, big, beautiful houses. The soul's not interested. That's what the ego wants, but that is absolutely useless. At the time of death, what we get is only that Adhyatma Jnana Nityatvam, Tattva Jnana Artha Darshanam, whatever Tattva Jnana you got, Artha Darshanam. Etat Jnanam iti proktam Ajnanam yat ata anyataha. Anything else besides this that you are learning, Lord Krishna is saying, is Ajnana. It is for this world, and this world is ephemeral. And the soul is wanting freedom. It wants to know about the truth of Tattva Jnana. That's why it came. So this is knowledge. So now we know Adhyatma Jnana is the real Jnana. And then Lord says, Jneyam yat pravakshami yat jnatva amritam ashnute anadimat param brahma na sattanna saduchyate. Okay. Lord now says something very fascinating. He says, Gneyam, what is your goal? Why are you learning all this? Where does the soul come from? He's going to tell us. Gneyam, what is your goal? Yat pravakshami, I will tell you. Yat jnatva, when you know this, amritam ashnute. Ashnute is falls or comes into you. You will get. Amrita is immortality. Anadi mat param brahma. That beginningless mat param. So this is very interesting. Lord says, Mat Param Brahma, I am Param Brahma, he says, Krishna. That which is me, which is Mat Param Brahma, I am Param Brahma. Mat Param Brahma, na Sat, na Tat, na Asat Uchyate. He is not something that is existing nor non-existing. Cryptic statement, but that's what you and I are. Fascinating, huh? We are his children. So we are not existing, nor are we non-existing. So what is this, Lord says? So Lord here mentions existing is the prakriti, what is physically touch, feel world. Okay, existing. Non-existing is kutastha. It is not existing in the fundamental sense, in the sense it is something, you can't even say it's a force. Kutastha is not force. The only word I use force is because gravitation, all these things, magnetism are forces which is non-existent, which I and you can relate to. But Kutastha is not a force, remember? It is not even consciousness, because Brahma already said, even in Prakriti, there is something. Sangash Chetanadriti, when you get that together, you'll get some kind of fundamental consciousness. So it's not consciousness. So Kutastha is something that is avyakta. So, but beyond that is what is Brahma. And says that is Jnaya. And you all came from there, we've forgotten what it is. And that's where we're going back. And that's the knowledge we've come to learn. That is Jnaya. That's the goal of all creation, goal of all knowledge. So Lord says we'll close this bit and then we can go over this again also. Lord says, Anadimat param brahma na sattanna saduchyate. So this is not Sat, this is not Asat. Sat here is not Sat Parabrahma. Sat means what is existing here, and Asat is what does not exist here. Lord then says, Sarvatah Panipadam. These are very beautiful shlokas. You can sing it in prayer. Sarvatah Panipadam Tat Sarvato Shishiromukam Sarvatah Shrutimaloke Sarvamavritya Tishtati Sarvendriya Gunabhasam Sarvendriya Vivarchitam Asaktam Sarvabhrukchaiva Nirgunam Gunabhoktru cha Bahirantashcha Bhutanam Acharam Charameva cha सूक्ष्मत्वातदविज्ञेयं दूरस्थं चान्तिके च तत् अविभक्तं च भूतेषु विभक्तमिव च स्थितं भूतभर्त्र च तज्ज्ञेयं तद्रसिष्णु प्रभविष्णु च ज्योतिषामपि तज्ज्योतिः तमसः परमुच्यते ज्ञानं ज्ञेयं ज्ञानगम्यं हृदि सर्वस्य विष्टितम् इति क्षेत्रं तथा ज्ञानं ज्ञेयं चोक्तं समासतः मद्भक्ता एतद्विज्ञाय मद्भावायोपपद्यते. Very simple shlokas. Only know the meanings of the words. You know what is Brahma, the meaning of intellectual meaning you understand. So here Brahma himself is explaining, I am the goal of all knowledge. I am beyond all existence and non-existence, meaning I am beyond Prakriti and Purusha. Then Lord says, Sarvatah Pani Padam. Pani is hand, Pada is feet. Sarvata, everywhere my hands and feet exist. Tat Sarvato Shishiro Mukham. They also everywhere my Akshi, eyes, and Shishira, head, and Mukha, Shira, and Mukha, head, eyes, and face, everything exists. Sarvata Shrutimal Loke. Everywhere Shruti I can hear Loke in this universe. Sarvam Avritya Tishtati. I am pervading everything and existing. Powerful, huh? Now, think of something he knows what you're thinking. Do something he knows. That's why it's called Sarvadi Sakshi Bhutana. It is him who has become everything in creation. Sarvendriya Guna Abhasam. Sarva Indriya Guna Abhasam. I am aware. Abhasa is shining. I am shining in the Indriyas and the Gunas of everything. I am aware of it. Sarvendriya Vivarjitam. Yet I am beyond these Indriyas. Asaktam. I am detached from everything. Sarva Brikchaiva. Brith is to sustain. I sustain everyone in a disinterested manner. Cha evam nirgunam guna bhoktracha. I am beyond the gunas, yet I enjoy these gunas. Yes, go bhoktra is to enjoy. Guna bhoktra. I am the one who is enjoying these gunas. So the entire journey from knowing that you are this ego consciousness, male, female, whatever, to knowing that you're Brahma, Brahma. That's why Krishna says in the Karma Sannyas Yoga in the 5th chapter, everything happens by itself. I'll give you an example. I was thinking of this the other day simply. So, when you're in your office, you're very important. Probably a CEO, whatever, your big manager, senior manager. You're probably the head of the family, or something very big you possess. You're a very, very important wife. You cook, clean, you take care of your entire family. And you think you're important. But trust me, 15 days after you're gone, nobody remembers you. Or perhaps they remember you fondly in a memory. But the world goes on. Who is running the world? You leave the job goes on. That is why it is Brahma running. Brahma is running everything. It is only a feeling. So you're just an instrument. That senior manager will be replaced by another senior manager. That wife will be replaced by another wife. Or perhaps somebody else, a maid servant or somebody. So, but the instrument will change, but Brahma acts. So observe the world in a very detached fashion. Modi will come, somebody will go, somebody will come. So the world goes on in spite of the person. So, Bahirantascha Bhutana, this is very fascinating. Just think over it when you're free and you will know this is true. This is just behind the scenes, one layer behind the scenes. Bahir, outside, Anta, inside, Chabhutanam. I am the outside and inside of all the beings. Acharam, non moving, Charam, moving, Evacha also. Sukshmatvat, very tiny or very, very subtle. That avijnayam, because I am subtle, you will not be able to understand what I am. No, not avijnayam. Vijnaya is to know, not aware of. That is avijnaya. Durastham, very far away. Cha antike cha tat. You feel I'm very far away, but actually I'm also very close. It's a very fascinating description of Brahma, right? We feel he's somewhere else, but actually he's somewhere within, right there. He knows what we're doing right now. He's happy also. My kids are coming back home. These kids are coming back home. They want to come back home. That's why they're doing all this. Avibhaktam cha bhuteshu. Bhuteshu vibhaktam iva cha sthitam. I am actually indivisible. In entire creation, I only exist like Sarva Vyapi. But still, I look divided amongst all heads, like, so many beings, animals, cats, dogs. Actually, I'm pervading everything. Bhuta Bhartra, again, I uphold everything. Bhartra is sustaining. Chat Tat Gneyam, Grasishnu, Prabha Vishnu. Grasishnu is I destroy, I bring the pralaya. Prabhava is to create, Prabha Vishnu cha. So know me as the person who creates and destroys whatever I want. See, now we discussing something very fundamentally powerful. Our father, our mother. You can call him as Brahma. You can call him as Vishnu. You can call him as Shiva. You can call her as Lalita. You can call her as Adi Parashakti. You can call her as Durga. You can call her as Kali. Call her what you want, or him what you want. But it is all powerful. It is so powerful that we are almost insignificant, although we are little beings, his children. And this is our journey of understanding Brahma. Lord then says, Jyotisham api tat jyoti. Of all the lights and radiance, I am the greatest radiance. Tamasa paramuchyate. But I am very far from the darkness that I myself have created, or the darkness is the absence of my light, my absence of my light. Tamasa paramuchyate. Jnanam, jneyam, jnanagamyam, hridi sarvasya vishtitam. I am knowledge, I am the goal of knowledge. Jnanagamyam. And I am Jnaya also, the object of knowledge. If you want to study something, like keeping it in front, that is about Brahma. That's the truth. Hridi sarvasya vishtitam. I only dwell and live in all beings. So this is Brahma. Such a beautiful explanation of Brahma, of Ishvara, by Ishvara himself. And Lord says, iti kshetram tata jnanam. So I've told you what is kshetra and what is knowledge. Jneyam, what is the object of knowledge? Cha uktam samasata. In brief, I've told you. Mad bhakta, if you are my bhakta, etad vijnaya, when you know this, mad bhava yo upapadyate. You will enter my nature, because in essence, you are me. When you know this, you will enter me. So Arjuna's 4 questions have got answered. Kshetra, Kshetrajna, Jnana, and Jnaya. Prakriti and Purusha are nothing but Kshetra and Kshetrajna macrocosmically. That we will do tomorrow. Take a moment of silence. Let's visualize Brahma. If he is Achintyam, he is, but still, if we can visualize Brahma, but he knows that we're discussing him. He makes us aware also that he knows. He's a being who is very self aware, like you and I are self aware. It's not like a it, it's not like a who can't hear or see. He's very conscious, he's very aware, he's happy. And he is a worshipable. And we have been created so that we can love him, because he was feeling alone. So we have to love him. Not only you and me, but even the beings on Sirius B or Andromeda Galaxy, the aliens, the greys and the whites and the reptilians and the Lyrans, and God knows what kinds of beings are there. In Sanskrit, all these Gandharvas, Yakshas, Charanas, and Vidyadharas. All of them are aware of him. So let's close our eyes for a moment. Going down deeply, clasping his feet, we'll say, Om Guru Narayane Samarpayami. One more day and another hour dedicated at the service and feet of our Lord with deep love and surrender. There at the last moment that He alone comes to our minds and holds our hands into eternity. Jai Guru to everyone. And we'll continue tomorrow. And we will now chant. I request Gauriji to now chant for us this shlokas.
ॐ गुरुनारायणाय समर्पयामि। ॐ श्री परमात्मने नमः। अथ त्रयोदशोऽध्यायः।